Good morning, everyone, my holy family. Eva asked me to read the schedule today, so I'll read it. Let's see. Uh, we have Shabd by Juhi. I miss Juhi so much. Meet me, oh my dear beloved, it says. And then there is an introduction by me. After that, there is a talk by Prempal G, and his topic is disciple or Chela, the disciple. And then we will have a short Dhyan session, and we will play Master's video, and then we can meditate all together with love and devotion and enjoy God all together. Okay, so I'll play Juhi's Shabd.
मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो मैं नैनी जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो भावे अन्न न पानी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी पानी अन्न न भावे मरिए हावे बिन पिर क्यों सुख पाए पानी अन्न न भावे मरिए हावे बिन पिर क्यों सुख पाए गुर आगे करो विनंती जे गुर भावे जो मिले दिवे मिलाए गुर आगे करो विनंती जे गुर भावे जो मिले दिवे मिलाए मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो भावे अन्न न पानी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी आपे मेल लाए सुख दाता आप मिलया घर आए आपे मेल लाए सुख दाता आप मिलया घर आए नानक कामण सदा सुहागण ना पिर मरे न जाए नानक कामण सदा सुहागण ना पिर मरे न जाए मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो तुद बिन खरी निमाणी मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो मैं नैनी नींद नावे जियो भावे अन्न न पानी मिल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that was total bliss, total ecstasy listening to our dear sister Juhi. Wow, her voice is so godly, cannot be described. And thank you, Juhi, for your great seva. May God keep you among us, and may you keep doing the singing for our Lord. Wow. And all those beautiful pictures of Master, just looking at his eyes. Wow, I mean, the eyes of the beloved cannot be described. Those are the eyes of Satpurush. When we look at the eyes of the beloved, it's looking at the eyes of God. It's looking at the eyes of Satpurush. When the Master looks at us, it is God looking at us. It's our Holy Father blessing us. And all godly radiations, all light of God, all the rivers of blessings come towards us when we look at the soul of souls, at the eye of the Master. When we look at the eyes of the Master, that cannot be described. Our soul flies and it cuts all the bonds that keep us here. Even if one string is tied to us here, we cannot go to God. All the strings have to be cut down and loosened. All the bondages and all the baggages have to be all gone, disposed of. And once they're gone, then our soul can fly to God. And that is the look of the Master. When he looks into our eyes, he takes so much baggage, so much bondage, so much strings that tie us to this world are cut. And then we get to know the truth of this world. We get to know the truth of this world. And what is the truth of this world? That whoever takes our attention away from God is not our friend, is like taking us the other way. Taking not everybody is our friend because we are love and we love everybody, but we just get to see the truth about this world and what's more important to us. But we love everyone. We love everyone, even the people who take us the other direction. But what happens to us after we get the knowledge from God is we get to know that every moment of this world is very, very, very precious to be used in love and in devotion and to become a perfect disciple. Prempal Ji, in his talk today, he's going to talk, I didn't listen to it, but he's going to talk to us about the disciple, the Guru Sikh, the Guru Sikh. What is a disciple? And there are many types of disciples, and we grow in discipleship, we grow in discipleship to become a Guru Sikh, which is like a true disciple or a Gurumukh, Gurumukh. So there are many types of disciple, and you could, and in the Sangat, we see them all. Those who are steadfast on the path, who are always running after the Master. Whether it's like the Shabd said, even the Shabd was talking about this subject. That's why I guess God wants us to talk about this. And it says, even if the weather is cold or frost or snow, the Guru Sikh still goes out to see his Guru. There is no excuses for the Guru Sikh, no excuses. He will go over mountains, he will walk in floods. That love draws him, that love pulls him. He is pulled by the love of the Guru, and he is unstoppable. He is unstoppable. He does not let anything stop him from being with his Master, from doing his seva, from attending the satsang of the saints. Nothing stops him. This is a Guru Sikh. This is a disciple that is advanced in love. He is attracted, he is totally pulled by love of the Master, totally, because the eyes of the Master are the eyes of love. One look of the Master hooks us. If he is a true Master, if he is totality, if he is from the kingdom of God, then one look of him just is a hook that just draws us towards himself, towards God and towards the kingdom of God. So an advanced disciple who is hooked with the golden chains of love becomes like Saint Kabir says. He says, I am the Guru's dog. I am leashed by the dog Wherever I am leashed by the Guru, and I'm Guru's dog. Wherever he ordains me to go, I will go. Wherever he wants me to be, I will be, as I am his dog and I'm leashed by his leash. And he is happy. He is so happy to be the Guru's dog. And I would love to be the Guru's dog. And this satsang prepares us day by day that we advance to become a perfect disciple. To become a perfect disciple. This is the purpose of satsang, is that it keeps us growing. It keeps us growing from a kindergarten disciple who still is a mamluk, who maybe have 5% of his time towards God, but still 95% towards the world, towards the outer attention of the world, towards the enjoyments of the world, towards the bond, towards being with friends, and just things that take the attention away from God. And then by coming to satsang, then that slowly decreases and more God is added to us. And we become less Mamluks and more Gurumuks. Until at some point, 51% of us becomes a Gurumuk. And when 51% of us becomes a Gurumuk, that's a great success, because the tip of the balance starts to tip towards God. And when the balance starts to tip towards God, that is a conquer. That is a conquest. That's a conquest of the mind. Even 51%, because once we start to dash towards God, then everything becomes easier. Everything becomes easy. But when we are still pulled by the other power, and we are still more of us is still Mamluks, then that's a hindrance, and that's a dangerous state. That's a dangerous state that many disciples lose faith and then are pulled back to the world and lose the precious breaths of this life that has been allotted to us to become true disciples, to become Gurumuks. So this the first stage of the spiritual development is a very dangerous stage. That's why the saints and masters say, you know, use the first 6 months of initiation, which is a honeymoon between you and God. And there is so much grace that is being poured in those first 6 months, like never before. It's like being married to God, and you are a bride, and God is putting like full attention in the, like when you plant a seed and it becomes a sapling, the farmer puts so much attention on that sapling so no weeds can take it out. So it can grow, so it can get sunlight and it can grow. And the same thing, the new initiates of the master, he really, all what they have to do is put the attention there, put the attention on the master, and everything, it's a big honeymoon of God. Everything will be added to them in those the first initial stage. And once a disciple uses that first initial stage to do everything he can or she can towards God, then that connection stays for eternity. That connection is unbreakable, and that connection stays forever strong, forever strong. That means in this life, those who use the first period to really connect themselves, they stay connected. That's why the first period of initiation is very important. That we become strong in God. We become strong in God, strong in our Master, and build the faith and the trust. Build the faith and the trust in the Master, and the faith and the trust in the Master will just pull us towards the Master, will become the pull of love. The faith, it will become devotion. It will become love and devotion, and we know all that love and devotion is what pulls us. So yes, we are to all grow, and that's my hope, that I am here for one purpose, to grow spiritually every day, to grow with you every day, and to change ourselves from Mamluks into Gurumuks, where more of us, more inside, God is much more inside of us than the other power. And in this way, we are permeating with love. And Guru Nanak says, what did Guru Nanak say? That his body became the body of the Master. His body in the Shabd, Guru Nanak says that my body became the body of the Master. And this is the really, this is a true Gurumukh. A true Gurumukh becomes the body of the master, becomes the eyes of the master, and becomes the ears of the master. His hands are the hands of master, and God starts to look at this world through the eyes of the Gurumukh. That our eyes will be transmuted to be the same as the eyes of our beloved, the eyes of our beloved. So yes, yes, all knowledge, all truth descends on us, and we get to know the truth of this world. Maharaj Sharan Singh, in his talk, something stayed in my mind from his talk, and he says, thieves come in three types. One that waits for you to leave the house and then comes and steals your belonging. There is another type of thief who threatens you with a gun or a knife and takes your belonging. But he said, but Master Sharan Singh said, and also my master Santakar Singh said the same thing in the same exact words. And he said, the worst thief, the most dangerous thief is the ones who befriends you, who becomes your friend. You develop trust for that person, and then when you develop trust for that person, you invite them to your house, and then they can steal you and they can rob you from all what you have, and you have no defense against them because they have become your friend. And this is the situation of this world, that sometimes all these friends that come our way, all these people that come our way and take our attention from God, they are stealing our wealth of God, because that wealth, if we have used that time, if we have used that time to put it in love, to put it in devotion, and put it in talking about the Master, then that will have become our godly wealth in our godly bank account. But once that time is lost, it can never be replaced. And the human life is like a bubble that comes and goes very, very fast. And in that bubble, we have that chance. We have that chance to make or mar our careers for eternity. We can make ourselves into God. We can make ourselves into anything. Wherever we put our attention, is that whatever, that's what we shall become. What you think, so shall you become. What you think, so shall you become. If you concentrate on the deities, you will become a deity. If you concentrate on the opposite power of God, you will become that. You will become that negativity. And if you concentrate on the highest, Satpurush, God, the kingdom of God, or eternal truth, then that's what you should become. You will become for sure. What you think, so shall you become. We are a point of awareness. In this human body, we are not the body, we're not the mind, we're not the intellect. We are the point of awareness. That awareness has been given to that awareness, which is the awareness of God. A free will has been given to us. And what is that free will? Where we can put our attention. Where we put our attention is our free will. We can use that free will to become really wealthy in God by putting our attention there, by putting our attention on the feet of the Master, on the Master. Then we can become really, really, really wealthy. And this is the message of all. Saint Rumi, Maulana Rumi says, I have broken all bonds. I have broken all the bonds. And now I am free in God, and I am drunk. I am drunk in God. And he is talking about his state of drunkenness. His state of drunkenness. That means he is drunk without alcohol, he is drunk without worldly drugs. He is drunk from his inner self. His inner self made him drunk. God in him, his love for God made him drunk. This is a true disciple. This is a true disciple. Somebody who has broken all the bonds, somebody who has got rid of all the desires with the help of his beloved, because he put his once we put our attention on the beloved directly, we go one step towards the beloved, he comes thousands of steps towards us. And what does he do when he comes towards us? He starts cleaning all, he starts cutting our bondages, clearing our desires, and making us free. And Rumi says that I have finished all my desires, and all my bonds have been broken, and now I am just intoxicated and drunk. Let me read that drunk poem to you. So we will all be inspired. We will all be inspired to keep going forth on the path of love and become true disciples. And true disciples, they don't let anything stop them. No, they are true warriors, brave warriors who always put their attention on the beloved in all situations. Even in calamities, they keep their attention on the beloved. In good times, they keep their attention on the beloved. Every moment and every breath, they try to keep their attention on the beloved. And if they miss one moment, not putting their attention on the beloved, they start withering. They start to have pain because that water of life, the manna of life, the supply of love has stopped for that moment. And that is painful. That is painful for the Gurumukhs. They want that supply of God to be 100% all the time at every breath. So we can read that poem of Rumi and just be inspired to keep on the path of love, to break our bonds and finish off with our desires by the grace of the Master. We can all now close our eyes for one moment and ask Master and God, please free us from all those lower desires, from all those attachments that hold us, free us and let us fly high in you and unstoppable. We can have that prayer, all of us, and that prayer, any godly prayer will become true. Any godly prayer is granted by the Master. What the soul wants always is given by the Master. Even what the mind wants, he sometimes gives us, even though it will cause us suffering. But he sometimes gives us. But all godly desires are fulfilled. And if we have a desire to just be with God, to just be in the kingdom of God, then that is the first concern of the Master, to satisfy our desires and our godly desires. And He starts to work with effortless, just moment by moment, freeing us, taking us towards that direction. So we'll all at some point become drunk in God, and that drunkenness will stay 24/7. We will be just intoxicated and just better than the wine of God we will become. That's what Rumi says in his poem. Let me read it. Where is it? Okay, it says, I have no heart, no hand. My feet are also tied with your love. Yet I have broken so many ties, freed myself from so many bonds. Oh, my smiling beauty, go easy, I am drunk. At the assembly of admiration, a glass was offered to me, like a soul from the Sultan. Who do you know? Be easy, I am drunk. Oh, my soul, come closer a moment. Don't hurt me anymore. Oh, my cheerful charmer, go easy, I am drunk. O cupbearer of the beloved, never mind this clumsy, heavy soul. Steal from the monks, offer wine slowly, I am drunk. You are unconventional. You are in front of religion, indifference, and rackishness. Why do you stay behind the curtain hiding yourself? Come out slowly. I am drunk. Oh, wine, I became worse than you. Oh, wine, I became worse than you. I am more wine than you. I am more wine than you. I am more exuberant, overflowing. Then you be easy. I am drunk. I am the same kind with boiling, overflowing wine. I am with the one who sells their mantle. Why should I hide or cover? Why should I hide or cower from the beloved? Go easy, I am drunk. I went beyond myself, chose your love. Then I saw I am annihilated. Go slowly with me because I am drunk. I am the light of Shams' soul. I even dressed like a monk and fooled the people. Go easy, I am drunk. in the creed of the one who is free from the restrictions of religion. Even the indifference of knowledge is worthless. This is empty air for them. Go easy, I am drunk. O one who stirs hundreds of instigations and deceits. The time is late. Drunks are dropping into the drunken slumber. Also, take those young ones away, but be easy because I am drunk. Okay, that's the drunk. I think it continues. Should I read more? Yeah, the drunk continues. Hold on. I came to start trouble, to fight the gathering of Rustum, to sit and break hundreds of glasses. Come slowly, because I am drunk. O one who keeps talking nonsense, who plays a drum and laughs, who became a donkey and a donkey's slave. Come slowly, because I am drunk. O wise one who sits awkwardly and stays. O one whose face is darker than the blacksmith. Come and see my charmer. Watch him, but come slowly, because I am drunk. You're almost like a wooden man. You should approach. Come closer. You may become alive and see hundreds of blood filled Tigris rivers. Come slowly, because I'm drunk. Don't be lazy, O cupbearer. We haven't drunk it all. We still have a wine. Fill this with pure, clean wine. Give it to us. But come slowly, because I'm drunk. The ones who fall in grief and sorrow on this road are fools, or people who the ones who fall in grief and sorrow on this road are fools, or people with no sense. But come slowly, because I'm drunk. God Shams, free from everything. Tabriz, clear and pure wine. I have fallen down until the day of judgment. But come slowly, because I'm drunk. This is the drunk poem. That Rumi is drunk, and he's saying that the ones who fall in grief and sorrow on this road, they are fools. They are fools. They have not drunken the wine of God. They have not become drunk like Rumi. That that this is the time. This is the time. This is the time to get drunk in God. This is the time to be eternally happy. This is the time of freedom, the time of liberation, the time of liberation from whatever makes us suffer. Whatever makes us suffer, this is the time. This is the time to be liberated, be free, and enjoy forever, and be like Rumi, always drunk in God, always in ecstasy, always. And he says in other poems that this, all the drunks in the world, of all the drunks in the world, that I mean the drunks that the worldly drunks in the world, just have one sip from the cup of Rumi, then all the drunks will want to become godmen. That there is nothing higher, that this path really yields to something very beautiful, the saints say, and that is eternal ecstasy. So keep that in your mind and in my mind too. Keep that. The aim is to become a perfect disciple, to become a gurumukh, a perfect disciple, a perfect slave to the lovers of God, to become a perfect slave to the lovers of God. That will bring the God's wine. That will bring the God's wine. To become a slave to the God lovers with humility and to know that we are nothing but only just a drop in the ocean. That humility of God will bring to us his wine, and to not, and who cares about the wine? It will bring to us God himself, that he will start living in us, and we will walk in this world with our heads high up in the pride of God. Our ego will merge in the ego of God, and we will become, me and my Father in the heavens are one. This is what all the saints and masters say, and this is what we talk about every day to get inspired and to keep on walking the path of love. So this is my introduction to you. This is my introduction, my seva to my master. Thank you, master, for the seva. May my head stay at your feet forever. I will play now Prempal G to have to have a different from a different person, a different what is a disciple. So I told you what is a disciple from what I think is the perfect disciple who becomes like Rumi, drunk in God. So let's see what Prempal G has to say.
Radha Swami, everyone. My today's topic is the disciple, murid, student, chela, disciple. We have been talking about the perfect living master all the time. Grace of the master, who's perfect living master? What are the qualities of perfect living master? Why master come here? And what is the grace of the masters? We had been discussing all those in our daily satsang almost every day. My today's topic is we talk about master, how about disciple? Who is a disciple? Master come here to pick up the souls, and those souls become the disciple of the masters. Then they go back home. That means master come here for souls or disciples. And how we become a disciple? Is it up to us to become a disciple of a perfect living master? Or is it our karma? Or is it grace of the master? Is it grace of the master that we become the disciple? Actually, it is our karma to be a disciple of a perfect living master. As Vani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, Karm hoye Satgur milaye, Seva Surat Shabd Chit laye. If it is written in our destiny or karma that you will become a disciple of a perfect living master, or you will find a master, then we will get it, otherwise we don't get it. Then how it is written in our karma that we will find a master, we will end up becoming a disciple of that master. Many things play an important role here. Those souls who turn around in Sachkhand before leaving, they are the mark souls, lest A, as Ishwar Puri Maharaj says. How about the other souls who never turn around and ask Vaheguru Paramatma if we want to come back, how we come back? How we will become the disciple of a perfect master if we have to come back? And there are other options. When a master comes, any soul, any human being whose name is not in the list, if that person has a darshan of that master, he might get initiation in the same life if master pull him with his unconditional love and he start doing the seva. If not, the darshan, the value of a darshan of the master is that soul, that person will become human being again and get the initiation. Not only the human beings, even if an animal or a bird or any other species who can see a master, perfect living master, had a darshan of perfect living master, will become human being in the next life and get the initiation, become disciple. That is darshan. Other thing is the drishti of the master. If a master put a drishti on anything, including the flower or a plant, if a master wants, when the journey of that plant is over, that plant becomes human being in the next life and becomes the disciple of a perfect living master. It is not up to us to be a disciple. It is our karma that we get a master. That how we become disciple. You cannot become a disciple unless a perfect living master accepts you as a disciple. Accept you as a disciple. You can go attend the satsang of any perfect living master. You can have a darshan of that master. You can do as much seva as you want. If you don't ask for an initiation, or Satguru never gives you initiation, that means he won't accepting you as a disciple. That means your name could be in the list of other masters, or you have to wait for the next life to be a disciple of perfect living master. Master knows better than us whom he is going to pick in this life, next life, or whatever. It is up to the master. And also our karma. How we become disciple? If a master accepts us as a disciple, we become disciple. When Baba Jaimal Singh Ji decided to be a disciple or Gursikh or Gurmukh, he started looking for a master. Before he even start looking for a master, he used to read the Bani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Every time Baba Jaimal Singh Ji read in the Bani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, घर में घर दिखलाए दे सो सतगुर पुरुष सुजान पंच शब्द तमकार तुन तै बाजे शब्द निशान. When Babaji read it, he asked the other preacher or Pathi Sahib, do you know the meaning of this घर में घर दिखलाए दे सो सतगुर पुरुष सुजान? They told Baba Jaimal Singh Ji, you need to find a saint or a perfect living master who can explain you better. Then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji started looking for a master, or his search started. He decided to be a disciple or Gurmukh. Baba Jaimal Singh Ji went to see Baba Karm Singh Ji. And Baba Karm Singh Ji, when Jaimal Singh Ji saw Baba Karm Singh Ji, then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji asked the same question from Baba Karm Singh Ji. At the same time, Sant Baba Ram Singh Ji, who is a very famous Guru, was there too. At the same time, when Baba Jaimal Singh Ji went there, Baba Jaimal Singh Ji asked the same question from Sant Baba Karm Singh Ji. Baba Ji, घर में घर दिखलाए दे से सतगुर पुरुष सुजान पंच शब्द तमकार तुन तै बाजे शब्द निशान. Baba Karm Singh Ji said, Jaimal Singh, I understand it very well. I understand it very well. घर में घर दिखलाए दे. So Satgur, not just Guru, Satgur, not just master, perfect living master. You need to find a perfect living master, Jaimal Singh, who can show you the Sachkhand while you are in a physical form. And at the same time, he said, Jaimal Singh, I can take you up to certain level. I can't take you beyond Parbrahm. I can't take you to Sachkhand, but I understand everything. You need to find a perfect living master who can accept you as a disciple and gives you initiation. Then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji ended up getting initiation from Swamiji Maharaj. It's a long story. At the same time, Baba Karm Singh Ji gave blessing to Baba Jaimal Singh Ji. Jaimal Singh Ji, I give you my blessing. And Sant Baba Ram Singh Ji, who was there, he said, Baba Jaimal Singh Ji, are you leaving empty-handed from this darbar or this dera too? Then Baba Karam Singh Ji said, Ram Singh Ji, what he is looking for, I don't have it. He is looking for something that I don't have it. He need to find not a Satguru, not a master, perfect living master. Then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji got initiation from Swamiji Maharaj, and Swamiji Maharaj accepted Baba Jaimal Singh Ji as a disciple. Then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji became disciple of Swamiji Maharaj when Swamiji Maharaj accepted him as a disciple. Then Baba Jaimal Singh Ji attended the satsang for a few days, do the seva. And Swamiji Maharaj said, Jaimal Singh, in the path of the master, there are few requirements. The first thing is, you need to live on your own earnings. do meditation, Nishkam Seva. Then he said, Swamiji Maharaj, what kind of job I can do? Then he said, Jamil Singh, you are a very good, handsome looking Sikh boy. Join the military during British Empire. And Baba Jamil Singh ji joined the Sikh regiment in the British Army. From where Baba Jamil Singh ji retired and came to Vyas. That's how he became the disciple of Swamiji Maharaj, because Swamiji Maharaj picked him as a disciple. Same thing with Baba Sabur Singh ji. Baba Sabur Singh ji used to read the Granth Sahib. At the same time, the father of Baba Sabur Singh ji, Kabul Singh ji, they loved to do the seva for all the sadhus and saints who came. And Baba Sabur Singh ji, same thing. But at the same time, Baba Sabur Singh ji had a belief that Guru Manyo Granth, that Guru Granth Sahib is the only Guru. But he always enjoyed the darshan and seva of all the sadhus. And there was one sadhu, saint, he used to come see Great Master Baba Sabur Singh ji when Baba Sabur Singh ji was in the Second World War doing his job as an engineer. That sadhu used to come to Babaji, spend 1 or 2 days with him, and then will leave. Baba Sabur Singh ji asked him all kind of spiritual questions and he answered them. And every time he leave, Baba Sabur Singh ji will give him 5 rupees as a seva or pocket money in case you need something, chai or anything, you could have it. And one time that sadhu came, spent a few days with Babaji, and Babaji finished a project for the British government, and Babaji finished it in half of the time. Babaji saved a lot of money for the government, and government gave Baba Sabur Singh ji the bonus. And sadhu was there, and the next morning when sadhu was ready to leave, and Baba Sabur Singh ji gave him 5 rupees. Then the sadhu said, Sabur Singh, I need 5 more. I need 10 rupees this time. Sabur Singh ji said, Babaji, you are getting greedy. He said, Sabur Singh, I am not getting greedy. You got the big bonus. Then Babaji surprised, how do you know that I got the big bonus? Babaji gave him another 5 rupees, said, Babaji, stay 1 more night. I love to talk to you. And then Baba Sabur Singh ji said, Babaji, give me the Guru Mantra initiation or something. I like to be your disciple. Then that Baba said, no, Sabur Singh, I can't accept you as my disciple and can't give you any Guru Mantra. Then he said, why? He said, I can't do it. Then Baba Sabur Singh ji insisted and said, please tell me. He said, Sabur Singh, someone else will be your master. Then Baba Sabur Singh ji said, tell me the name of that master, I go find him. Then that sadhu said, don't worry, Sabur Singh, he will come find you. Then he took off. Then Baba Sabur Singh ji said, what kind of joke is that? That's my perfect master will find me. Then he said, oh, whatever. That's what exactly happened. And after that, Baba Jamil Singh ji decided to go the Komari area where the posting of Baba Sabur Singh ji was, where Baba Sabur Singh ji was doing his job. And Baba Sabur Singh ji, the co-worker, said, one of his co-workers said, Sabur Singh, a perfect living master, Babaji came from Punjab and delivering satsang from Mani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib ji. And please come and enjoy the company of that Babaji. Baba Sabur Singh ji said, no. I seen many saints. Recently I lost 10 rupee to a saint. They are all fake. Then he said, no. Baba Jamil Singh is not in a money business. Just come. Then he said, okay, I'll think about that. And one day was gone. The next day, Baba Jamil Singh ji and Bibi Rukki ji, they were walking uphill towards a very beautiful place. And Baba Sabur Singh ji was sitting in the lower area where his posting was on a chair. And Baba Jamil Singh ji and Bibi Rukki ji was going. And Bibi Rukki ji said, and Baba Sabur Singh ji said, Bibi ji, you see that Sardar ji or that guy with the long beard and a turban? Bibi said, yes, yes, Baba ji, I see him, he is sitting on a chair. And Baba Jaimal Singh ji said, I am here to meet him. I am here because of him. Then Bibi ji said, Baba ji, he never even paid attention to you. He never said good morning and namaste or sasri call to you. And you telling me that you're here for him? Then he said he don't know it. Then Bibi ji said, should I go and tell him that Jaimal Singh ji is here to meet you? And Baba Jaimal Singh ji said, don't worry, Bibi ji. He will come and attend my satsang tomorrow evening. That's what exactly happened. Another co-worker said, Baba ji, Baba Saban Singh ji, Baba Jaimal Singh ji is coming to my house to deliver the satsang. Like to come? And Baba Saban Singh ji, as a sake of friendship, like if someone invite us on birthday party, most of us, someone says, we have a Sukhmani Sahib Path Seva and we have a Kanthwad Seva. Please come join the langar and listen to the Bani. We all go as a tradition, then as a sake of tradition or a friendship. Baba Saban Singh ji said, okay, I come. Not to look for a perfect looking master. Baba Saban Singh ji decided to go as he was invited by a friend. When he went to his house, Baba Jaimal Singh ji was started the satsang. And Baba Jaimal Singh ji took the Bani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib ji. The name of that Bani is Anand Sahib. Anand paya meri maaye Satguru mein paya. The real meaning of that means, my beloved soul, I am so happy I find a master. Now we can go home. When Baba Saban Singh ji listened the explanation of Anand Sahib ji by Baba Jaimal Singh ji, Baba Saban Singh ji crashed, oh my God, is this the real meaning of Anand Sahib? That there is nothing without a master, and the real Anand, the blissful state we can't experience without a master, and that can only be experienced by a soul, not by a physical body. Baba ji was amazing satsang by Baba Jaimal Singh ji. I had been reading Guru Granth Sahib ji, but I never knew the deep meaning of Shri Guru Granth Sahib ji. Baba Saban Singh ji was so happy. Then Baba Saban Singh ji has a lot of questions. Guru Manyo Granth, this and that. Then Baba Saban Singh ji at the end said, Baba ji, please initiate. Then Baba Jaimal Singh ji accepted Baba Saban Singh ji as a disciple. When Guru accepts you as a disciple, you become a disciple and your initiation is done. And the gateway of Sachkhand is open for you. After that is the responsibility of the master to escort your soul to Sachkhand. Then Baba Saban Singh ji had a lot of questions. And Baba Jaimal Singh ji said, Babuji, read Anurag Sagar. The same Anurag Sagar, Vishesh Paji is doing a great seva of Anurag Sagar. There are a lot of knowledge in there. After that, Baba Saban Singh ji did a lot of meditation. That's how he become disciple. To become a disciple at physical level, when we become a disciple of our master and meet him at a physical level, that is a physical level meeting, our physical body becomes a disciple, looks like. When you start doing meditation, start going inside, look at our master in all the causal area, then our sensory body, our mind and all those things become the disciple of that master. And when we go par Brahm, there is no physical body, there is no causal body, there is no astral body, there is only soul. You see your Satguru in a sound current or Shabd Swarup. Shabd Swarup, that is the real form of the master, and that point Shabd Guru, Surtu Ton Chela. Again, there is a master and disciple beyond par Brahm. But there, master is the sound current and the disciple is the soul. Not physical master, not physical body, not astral body, astral, all these things are gone. Now we are beyond time and space. That's the real form of the master. Real form of the master is the Shabad Naam or sound current. And what is the real form of the disciple? Real form of the disciple is the soul, consciousness. Shabadu Guru Surtu Tonu Chela. At that point after Paramaram, then we understand who's master, who's disciple. When we reach at that level, then path of the master, as Baba Sabin Singh Ji used to say, path of love and devotion, path of the master start after Paramaram, beyond time and space. And Guru Amar Das Ji, when these kind of souls, advanced souls, when you are in Paramaram, when you are beyond time and space, you already drop off the costume of your physical, astral and causal, only soul, the pure level of consciousness is there. At that time, those disciples become so advanced. Guru Ram Das Ji, the third Guru, wrote a very beautiful verses about those souls. Guru Sat Guru Ka Jo Sikh Akhave. Sikh means a disciple. Here is the real meaning or real definition of disciple. Guru Sat Guru Ka Jo Sikh Akhave. So Palke Ut Har Naam Te Ave. Udam Kare Palke Parvati Snan Kare Amrit Sar Nave. Here Guru Ramdas Ji say, when our soul becomes the disciple of that sound master, then our physical body, when we are at physical body, we get up early in the morning, like 3 o'clock, and start doing meditation of Naam Te Ave. Then at the same time, Guru Ramdas Ji says, Ashnan Kare Amrit Sar Nave. Here Guru Ramdas Ji is mentioning about the Amritsar. Here Guru Ramdas is not referring to the city of Amritsar or Golden Temple. Golden Temple started during the time of 4th Guru and finished during the time of 5th Guru. Here the 3rd Guru is talking when there was no city of Amritsar, when there was no Sarovar or Golden Temple. That means Guru Ramdas is referring to another Amritsar who's inside of us, beyond Parbrahm, in Sun area. In Sun area. At that time our soul and master and sound current. When you go Parbrahm, we hear the sound of Kingri Sarangi Sitar. Kingri Sarangi Baje Sitara Ashar Brahm Sun Darwara. We listen to the sound, we look at the big old full moon, white light there in Parbrahm. When you go to the Sun area, where you see the Man Sarovar, Amritsar, Triveni, is such a big holy water, a pool full with holy water, and the lotus flower floating in the middle. Our soul will take bath and come out of that flower, the light of your own soul becomes equal to 12 sun. Then you know who is the real master and who is the real disciple. Who is the real disciple? To be a disciple is up to the master. Once you become a disciple, you need to do more and more meditation to go to the higher level, to become advanced satsangi. If a person go to kindergarten, a kid go to kindergarten, if he gets stuck there, then what kind of achievement he will have? If he keep moving up and up and up, eventually he will become a doctor, PhD and all that. It takes time, but eventually he get it. Same thing here. Start doing meditation every day. We have to do it. As Brother Dwight Ji said, we have to do it every day. More you do it, it's good for us. It's our homework. It is our homework. To be a disciple, it is our karma. We are all lucky that all of us are the disciple of Perfect Living Master. Like Maharaj Charan Singh Ji, Maharaj Kirpal Singh Ji, Ishwar Puri Ji Maharaj, Baba Savan Singh Ji, Guru Mata Ji, Chand Bhardwaj Ji, Baba Sadhu Ram Ji, Sant Baba Jai Singh Ji, Sant Baba Thakur Singh Ji, Maharaj Rasila Ram Ji, Baba Mustana Ji. All these Perfect Living Masters, we are so lucky to have, to be their disciples. To be their disciple. Now, the other thing that Baba Saban Singh Ji made it clear, many, not many, I will say more than 99.99% the population or people who are living in this planet, they believe in the past masters, the master who are already gone. And they think we are the disciple of those masters and he is our master. Many of us, many people say Jesus is our master, but physically, Jesus Christ left. Those souls who had a darshan of Jesus, got initiation or from him, they are the disciple. And many people say, I am the disciple of Muhammad Sahib. The thing is, have you seen Muhammad Sahib in a physical form and got a kalama or initiation from him? If not, then it is your mind. It is your mind who is saying it. Who is saying it. And people are thinking about the past master. All the gurus, all the saints and swamis jis who are gone, they already become one with Vaheguru God. They can't help us. We have to find the master who is available right now. Baba Saban Singh Ji used to say, if there was a very smart doctor or a surgeon who lived like in 1800, year 1800, and he's already gone, there is no way that he can prescribe you something or perform any kind of surgery for you. He can't do anything. You have to find the one who is available at the physical level for you, who can cure you. Who can cure you? We can read the books and Gurvani of all these saints who are gone. It will give us direction. It will give us knowledge, but not inner experience. Inner experience we only get when we find a perfect living master who can take us inside. Who can take us inside. So how we become a disciple and who are the disciples? Why master come here to pick us up? Because we like to be a disciple? Yes. Those souls who turn around, master is here to pick them up. They will become a disciple, master will take them. How about the other souls? Is there any other option? Yes. A perfect living master is here. Suppose your name is not in the list and you had a darshan of that master. You fall in love with him or he pulls you with this unconditional love. You do the seva, he can add your name in the list and take you. And is there another list? There is another list. I call it open form list. That list is only can be prepared by perfect living master like great master Baba Saban Singh Ji. One time Baba Saban Singh Ji was coming back to Dera Byas in a train. A train stopped at Lahore railway station. Babaji picked up the window to get some fresh air. There was a Muslim guy, Pathan, standing outside. When he saw Baba Saban Singh Ji's face, the glow on his face, his beard and turban, all of a sudden something came from intuition, something came from his soul. Then he said, Subhanallah, MashaAllah. What a handsome person, I never saw it. Babaji gave him drishti. He had Babaji's darshan. Babaji smiled at him. Train took off. Babaji came to Dera Byas. After 6, 7, 8 years, that Muslim guy, he was ready to live physically. When he was ready to die, he knew it. All of a sudden, great Master Babaji appeared before him in a radiant form. And he said, I will take you to Maqam-e Haq. He said, Babaji, you never gave me the kalma. And you're not my guru, my Murshid-e Kamil. Babaji said, you don't need kalma. Something came from your intuition, from your soul. You said, you appraised my beauty. I loved it. I liked it. And I'll take you to Maqam-e or Sachkhand. Babaji took him. Master can do anything. Suppose if you want to be a disciple, but it's not written in your karma. If you have a darshan of a perfect living master, in your next life you become a human being and also your name is added in the list to be a disciple. How about the other species? Can they get a chance? Or do they have to go through the death and birth of 8.4 million species? A perfect living master can put drishti on anything, even a plant. That plant, when the life is over, become human being and become the disciple and get initiation from a perfect living master. To be a disciple is a great karma. It's a great karma. But as a disciple, what we have to do? As Vani of Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, शिष्य को ऐसा चाहिए गुर को सब कुछ दे, शिष्य को ऐसा चाहिए गुर को सब कुछ दे, गुरु को ऐसा चाहिए शिष्य का कछु ना ले. Bani of Kabir Sahib Ji, Guru Granth Sahib Ji say, disciple need to give everything to the master, and master should not accept anything in a material form like money or anything from a disciple. That is the quality of a master. Then why Bani of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, शिष्य को ऐसा चाहिए गुरु को सब कुछ दे. Here the real meaning is that we have to surrender ourselves to our master. Surrender yourself to your master, then you will make lot more progress then you will make lot more progress if you surrender yourself to the master. Lose your identity, as Bhai Gurdas Ji say, murda hoye murid na gali hobna. Murda means dead. No desires, nothing. Drop everything. Be at the feet of your master. Surrender everything to your master. Everything to your master. Then you will realize. That master will pull you. Even as a disciple. If you are a disciple of a master, it does not mean that master want to keep you at the lower level and want to keep himself at the higher level. No. Master always love to pull you at his own level so you can understand him. Baba Nanak Ji, his predecessor was Guru Angad Dev Ji. Baba Nanak Ji never made him smaller than him. Baba Nanak Ji made him equal to him, just like him. That's what master always love to do for a disciple. For a disciple, master want his disciple to be just like him as a master. And you can become like him after Par Brahm. Once your soul take a bath in that Manas Sarovar or Harimandir or Tin Sarovar, then you and your master becomes one, then you go further up. Then there is no difference between soul, God, sound, Vaheguru, Paramatma. Everything becomes one. Everything becomes one. As Baba Nanak Ji says, only with the help and grace of the master. Gur Kirpa Jain Narpe Kini, Tanje Jugt Pashani, Nanak Leen Bhayo Govind Sion Jo Pani Sang Pani. Baba Nanak Ji says, if you throw one drop of water in an ocean, that drop becomes the part of an ocean. Gur Kirpa Jain Narpe Kini, Tanje Jugt Pashani. With his kirpa blessing, we understand the method of light and sound meditation. Nanak leen bhayo govind sio jyo pani sang pani, you and your master and totality of consciousness becomes one. But you have to start your journey from a disciple. Please, thank you, accept my seva and forgive all my mistakes. Thank you, Radha Swami.
Thank you, Prempal Ji. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for your seva. We all love it and appreciate it. Okay, so now we can do a couple of minutes of meditation, and I'll choose a video of our Holy Father Ishwar Puri Ji by random. Okay, and we can play it.
friends to this three-day event in Newport Beach. I'm very happy to be back here and to meet so many of you, my old friends and some new friends. It's always nice to meet friends. Friendship is a rare thing. We meet acquaintances, but very few friends. We meet a lot of people who we can say are friends. But then we find that friendship is based on love. And love is something which is unconditional. When you love somebody, there are no conditions attached to it. But we find that most of our friendship lasts so long as we keep on getting what we expect. If we don't get what we expect, friendship ends, love ends. This kind of love is not called true love. True love is unconditional and very rare to find. But one place you can always find true love is in your relationship with a perfect living master. A perfect living master is a human being like us. No difference. He's born like us, lives like us, dies like us. His whole karma is like us. He falls sick, he goes to hospital. He eats the diet that suits him. Sometimes he gets fat and he wants to lose weight, just like us. No difference. The only difference between a perfect living master and ourselves is his state of awareness. What does he know? How much is he aware in his head? We are aware of very little of the total existence. We are aware of what is around us. We use our sense perceptions to be aware of things around us in this physical world. We know very little of the physical world. Every year, new telescopes are being developed, and we find the world is bigger than we thought. There are several galaxies, more galaxies, billions of galaxies being discovered. Every time there's a new telescope put in the space. Similarly, in terms of small things, the smaller this world becomes, and we go through microscopes, the best microscopes, we find there is so much world which we can't see. In a small little place, in the gut bacteria, the trillions of population living inside each body of ours, all living beings living there. So little knowledge we have, even of the outside world. And then what is inside us, we have no idea. Where are emotions coming from? Where thinking is coming from? What is our mind? What is the substance of which the mind is made of? What is life made of? Does soul create life? Is there such a thing as a soul? Anybody has seen? You may never have seen a soul, and yet you're all alive because of soul. We have such little knowledge. But a perfect living master has knowledge, so much knowledge that we could not even contain it if we found out. Because his knowledge is not based upon only being in a physical body. We have more than one body. We are living now in a physical body, But inside this physical body is another body, which creates our sense perceptions. We use it every day. We use it when we imagine things. We imagine something and we can see it. These eyes are not seeing it. Something inside is seeing it. We say it's our mind seeing, our imagination is seeing. But seeing is different from seeing with these eyes. Similarly, we can touch, taste, smell, have all the sense perceptions without this physical body. So there is something else of which we have very little knowledge. People who have been able to die while living, that means while they are still in the body, but they have been able to experience what happens to us after death. They know there is a body that survives after death, and that body has all the sense perceptions that we have here. So therefore, there is more knowledge inside than we are aware of. That's not all. We don't know that the mind is also a body. We think mind is merely a function of the brain. It just provides thinking. But if you were not having a physical body, if you were not having sense perceptions, but were still alive, you would find that the mind is also a body. We are not aware of it. But some yogis, some masters, have been able to die even in the inner body while living, and they are able to know that the mind is also a body, which creates everything, all experiences. Perfect living masters know even more. They even know that if there was no mind, no senses, no body, we are still alive. And that is how they know the soul is immortal and is alive, no matter you have these bodies or not. This knowledge, this awareness is with these perfect living masters at all times. It is not that they have gone one day into meditation and seen something and come back to tell us, which we can. If we do meditation and see something and come back here, we say, I had a very good experience. But perfect living masters have that experience continuously, 24/7, all the time. When they come to us and speak to us, they are not speaking from anything they remember. They are speaking from what they are aware of at that very moment when they are speaking. Because they have this awareness 24/7 of every level of creation, every level of consciousness, including our true home, to which we born, from where the souls came, which we call Sachkhand or true home. Their awareness sits in all the regions at the same time when they are here. It's a very big difference. As a human being, they are like us. In awareness, they are full of all the knowledge that we can ever get. So that makes a big difference. That is why we say we are all one, but we don't really believe it because we look different, we speak different language. Sometimes we like each other, sometimes we don't. But perfect living masters have seen we are all one, not that they believe, they've seen it. And therefore, their love for us is unconditional. And their friendship is the highest friendship that is possible. Do these perfect living masters come here to teach us something? No, not at all. They are not teachers at all. Because there are thousands of teachers available. Why should they also do the same thing that is already being done by so many people? There people are teaching all the time about soul, about these things, meditation, everything. If you're not teachers, there are books. Thousands of books in every language telling us the same thing. Perfect living master don't come for that. They come here in response to our seeking. We seek inside. They are at that level where they can see our seeking. And when they find that there is a seeker wanting to go to their true home, above the mind, they appear in front of them as an ordinary human being. They appear by coincidence, they appear by chance, they appear by circumstances created, and it looks like it was a strange coincidence how they appeared, but they appear. We can't find them because they look just like us. How can we find them? We can't read what is inside the head of a person. Therefore, they appear in our life and they come to take us back to our true home, which is what we are seeking. If we are not seeking that, they won't come. Then other masters come to respond to what we are seeking. Supposing we are seeking some better life here, there are many coaches, many people who can come and tell us that. Supposing you want to learn how to meditate to get calmness, peace of mind, so many yogis, masters are available for that. Perfect living masters. Why do we call them perfect living masters? Because all imperfection in this world is created by the mind. Above the mind, there is no imperfection. So, since these perfect living masters operate from above the mind, we call them perfect. They are living because they are living as a human being. Therefore, they are perfect living masters. They are not dead masters. What is the difference between a living master and a dead master? A perfect living master who has died. Why can't he help us? If he is really perfect and is still available in some spiritual form, and we call him in spirit, why can't he inform us? Because there is no way we can distinguish between our mind telling us something and what we think the master is telling us. I meet so many people, especially in this country, who tell me we are being guided by ascended masters from the Himalayas, and they are living there in the caves. I say, have you ever gone and seen them? No, but they guide us in spirit from inside. I said, I have gone and seen them. And they say, we don't guide anybody there. You go and ask them, they say, tell you, we don't guide anybody. They are all living there. I have seen the living form, and they don't guide anybody here. They say, those who claim that we are guiding them are being guided by their minds. And the minds are making up this whole story that we are getting guidance from somewhere else. What is wrong with that? If the mind is guiding us, what is wrong? What is wrong is the mind always wants to involve us more and more in outward activity in the external physical world. And why is mind adopted that? Because for lifetime after lifetime, all we have done in our birth and physical world is to desire things of this world, get attached to them, and ask more and more of them. This attachment and desire has kept us coming back here, and the mind loves that. The mind gets attached, and therefore the guided instructions we get attaches us more to this world than anything else. If you find out what they have guided you, they guided you about the physical world. They have not guided you about your true home ever. Nobody has said, leave the mind. Nobody who's saying, I'm being guided by your spirit, has ever said that the spirit has said, leave this is not your place, you belong to somewhere else. But perfect living masters, those who are alive, can say what you are thinking is not right. They can say no to the mind, which the mind won't say no to itself. And that is why it's very necessary, if you want to go above the mind, if you want to go to your true home, a perfect living master is necessary. You don't have to find him, just seek him. Seek inside. You don't have to shout for it. Don't have to go and pray in any particular place. You have to seek inside your own self wherever you are. There's no special temple or church or cathedral or somewhere you have to go pray for some kind of a guidance inside. There is no greater temple than the temple of a living body. All religions have said the same thing, but we still go to man-made temples and churches and other places of worship. The real place of worship is the human body, inside. And you will see that the head of the human body is the most important part of the human body. All awareness is stored here. And it is only when you go in here that you get true knowledge, including the knowledge of your true home. When we are seekers of our true home, these masters appear, and what do? They pull us with their love. Because love lies beyond the mind. They don't pull us with their conversation or argument or try to persuade us. It's not necessary. When somebody is pulled by love, the ego sits back and is so enchanted by the love one is experiencing, one is pulled by that. That is the way one crosses the mind. Not by using the mind. You can't cross the mind by using more of the mind. You can't cross the mind by thinking more about it. That is why intellectual activity has its limitation. It only keeps you within the realm of the mind, whereas the love that pulls is beyond the mind and takes you even beyond the mind to your true home. These perfect living masters have come here to pull our souls with their love and take them back home. They know who they have to take back home, and they appear in the lives of those people, take them back home. As it happens, while they are doing their work to take back home the souls that have sought them, for whom they have come, and this big world of billions of people, several seekers spread all over, when a perfect living master comes in a human form, he is limited in scope, how many people he can meet, how many people he can take. That is why every perfect living master who has come has had his own list of souls to take back home, for whom he came in the area in which he could work. So it has happened all over the world, just like that. So they will pick up their marked sheep, like they call, like a shepherd collects marked sheep, that these are my sheep, they are marked for me, I have to take them back home. Masters act like that. But while they are doing this work, many other people get a chance to see them. What happens when you see a perfect living master and you are not a marked sheep? What happens? The impact of their awareness, the impact of their soul is so much that we get marked. May not be marked for the same master, but we get marked. That is why they say having a look at a human being who is a perfect living master, even once, is a guarantee you will get marked and one day you will go back home. Looking at the face of a master, we call in India darshan of a master. The value of darshan is immense. It will one day happen, if you have had a darshan of a perfect living master, that you will automatically, the seeking will come in you after that. And maybe this life, next life, sometime later, you will be taken back home again. So that is a big thing also for those who are not marked. So I sometimes call that there is list A, list B, and list A goes with the same master, list B goes for future masters. But this is a very big value. In India, they try to explain a lot of things in terms of stories. I'll tell you one story. I heard it in India, that there was one somewhat enlightened man called Narad Muni. He was a good guy. He had some access to higher God, Brahma, Vishnu, at that level. He could go to that level and have a conversation with them. But he was also a little naughty. They say that he used to carry tales from one house to the other. And sometimes he would create problems amongst people, which he enjoyed watching as a show. So there's both sides of that man. But one day, Narad Muni was walking, and he used to go from place to place begging for food and so on. So one day he was walking, and he saw a crowd of people running. He said, "Where are you running?" They said, "A perfect living master has come into our village, and we are going to have his darshan." He said, "What does that mean? Is he going to give you anything?" "No, we're just going to see him. That is called darshan. We are going to have a darshan of a perfect living master." He said, "What a stupid thing. People are running to see a man. What can I get out of it? It means nothing to go and just see a man. If he is going to give a talk or giving something knowledge, giving some prasad, giving something, one can go. But just to go to look at a person, what value does it have?" So he went into his meditation. And he manifested his Ishta Brahma. And he said, "Brahma ji, I have a question. Today I saw a lot of people running to see the face of a man they call perfect living master, and they call it darshan. What is the value of darshan?" And Brahma ji said, "Oh, that's a deep question. I would like you, Narada Muni, you go to a neighboring village and see there will be a snake with his head up in the pond of that village. The snake will give you an answer to that question." So Narada Muni went, And he went to that village and he saw a pond of water, and there was really a snake there, his head up in the water. And he said, Mr. Snake, I have come to ask you, what is the value of darshan, looking at the face of a master? And the snake dropped its head and died. He said, what kind of answer is that? Went into meditation again and said, Brahmaji, you told me the snake will give an answer. Snake never gave an answer, he died. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Brahmaji said, I'm very sorry to hear that. I think you should go to another village, a little distant. You travel for a while. There is a goldsmith, and he has just bought a new parrot. The parrot is in a cage. You go and ask this question from the parrot, he'll give you an answer. Parrots can speak. So he traveled to that village, took some days and reached there. And he found out, is there a goldsmith in the village? Yes. He went to his house. Do you have a parrot? I just got a new parrot, very nice one. Can I have a conversation with the parrot? Oh, Narad Muni, you wanting to talk to a parrot must be a very lucky parrot. He said, I want to just ask a question. So the parrot was brought to him, and he said, Mr. Parrot, what is the value of this darshan, looking at the face of a person they call a perfect living master? And the parrot dropped his head and died. He said, what kind of game is this that Brahmaji is playing with me? He went into meditation again and said, Brahmaji, what is this game? I asked the snake died. Now you sent me to a parrot, the parrot died. And Brahmaji said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's very sad. I'll tell you now. Go to another country, far off, new state. And it'll take you some while, but don't mind. When you reach there, you go to the palace of the king and ask them if a newborn baby has been born there. And ask that baby, he'll give you the answer. Now Narad Muni was shivering and trembled. Parrot and snake is all right. I hope nothing happened to the baby. But he traveled. And he traveled for several months and eventually reached that kingdom. And he went, and the king recognized him and said, Narad Muni, you come to this place. He said, I have come for a very special purpose. Has your wife, the queen, given birth to a baby? Oh, yes, she gave birth to a baby boy just a few days back. I would like to see the baby. Most welcome, very blessed baby to have Narad Muni coming to see him. Narad Muni is inside, not so sure if it's a blessing or not. But anyway, he said, I'd like to see the baby in privacy. They said, certainly. We'll withdraw, you go and see the baby in that room. So Narad Muni went there and said, Mr. Baby, I have come to ask you a simple question. What is the value of darshan, looking at the face of a master? And the baby spoke. He said, Narad Muni, I am the same snake you saw. I am the same parrot that you saw. You are not a perfect living master, just a Muni. But even at your rank, your darshan cut short my life as a snake, made me into a bird. Your second darshan cut short my life as a bird, made me into a human being. In the case of a perfect living master, the value of darshan is 1,000 times more. That's how he got the answer. Sometimes we have these stories to tell simple truths, that the value actually is far greater than is described in the story. The value is, if you have a darshan of a perfect living master, you will become marked to go back to your true home, and you become a seeker automatically. Sometimes we wonder what is making us seek the truth. We are happy living in this world, and we say something is missing. Something is not right. This doesn't seem to be my place. Where do these thoughts come? This is a place of pain and pleasure. This is not my place. I don't belong here. Where do these ideas come from? That seeking comes from not the mind, soul. Very often the mind and the soul are saying different things to us. The soul is seeking to get out and go back to true home. The mind is trying to attach us more and more to this world. And we are being guided so much by the mind that the soul remains suppressed most of the time. But when seeking exceeds a certain point, no, I have to seek what is inside, what is the truth, where do I belong? When that seeking comes, a perfect living master appears in our life. And it's amazing, the timing of the seeking, how seeking grows, it reaches a certain point, perfect living master comes. Mind fights. No, he's just an ordinary person. Don't think he's come for helping you in any way. How can a man help you? And in any case, he's saying, others are saying that God and the truth is inside you, your true home is inside you. If it's inside you, find inside, not outside from another man. If you have God right inside you, why do you need a third party, an intermediary to go outside to find out something that is inside you? How can a person outside you tell you what is inside you? Go inside and find out. The problem is when we try to go inside, we don't know what is inside. We have really no idea. Sometimes we think by closing our eyes, we are inside. Closing our eyes only means we don't see what is outside, does not mean we are inside at all. Therefore, we meditate, we are meditating outside. We close our eyes, we think we have gone somewhere. No, it's still there. We have not gone anywhere inside. We have no idea what is inside. We have never gone there. Then somebody says, no, there are several centers inside, real centers of energy. All the energies, all the frequencies that create all experiences are inside, and we go to those centers inside. We put our attention on different centers, and the centers give us some strange experiences. No center gives us our true home. People have tried for thousands of years. I sat with the yogis who were practicing for all their life, and I did the same meditation with them in the mountains. And none of them had ever gone to their true home. All they had is strange experiences, out-of-body experiences, running here and there, going where? Outside of themselves, not inside. It has taken me so much time to understand that inside is different from the experience of the energy centers that are running our life outside and inside. So just by putting your attention on these energy centers, we are not going anywhere inside. We focus our attention on anything, it's always outside. We never focus attention on ourselves. And why can't we do it? Because we have never been told how you can know your inside your own self. We do not know what our self is. We are thinking our body is ourself. Sometimes thought comes, maybe there's an Atma, there is some soul inside, and that is making us alive. We don't know where it is. Sometimes people who practice the yoga of the 6 chakras below, they think the Atma is sitting in these chakras. These are all energy centers. How can the very source of creation, the very source of life, sit in these? Energy is not the same as life. Life is much wider. So that is why these questions come up. How can we find what is our own self inside? But those who have taught us how to go inside, like perfect living masters tell us, the self which creates the experience, that is your inside, not the experience, no matter what. You can have the highest experience. It's an experience, not yourself. Who are you? The experiencer of that experience. We never know the experiencer, we know the experience. All our life, we led our life like that. We have led maybe millions of lives like that. Never had a chance to know who is experiencing all that. We are so caught up in experience, we never know who is having it. I can say that my body is having an experience of physical world, but who is in the body accepting it? When body is dead, it can have no experience. What is life? Where is life coming from? Then we say the sensory systems are getting all the experience. Yes, but who is picking up from the sensory systems? They say our thinking is coming. Thoughts may be creating something. Just thoughts, but who is thinking? The mind is not thinking by itself. Who is accepting the thoughts? Who is using the mind and thinking? We don't know. That is why it is so difficult to know who the self is, who our real self is. Socrates said, know thyself. People have said, if you can know yourself, you have known God. Because God sits inside the self. So the self is not known. That is why we need somebody who has known the self to guide us. And that's a perfect living master outside of ourselves. But does he teach us to look outside? If he says, you go to that river and have a bath and you will find out who you are, don't get that blunder. River don't contain the self. Self is inside us. If somebody says, rise to the mountain and it will give you the knowledge of the self, no way. And no buildings in the world can exist which can give you that, no matter by what name you call them. The only way to know the self is where the self is operating from, which is inside. And at different times, it may look like the self is not in one place. We think we carry the self in the body, we run around. Are we carrying the self also? Looks like that. What will we find when we find the self? The self created the experience of the body, self created the experience of the body running, but never ran itself. It's very interesting knowledge we get by trying to understand the self. The self that lies inside cannot be accessed by focusing attention on anything. People say, but I focus attention on myself. I ask them, how do you do it? They say, I close my eyes and I imagine I am at the third eye center. The highest of the 6 centers, behind the eyes. I say, how do you go to the third eye center? So I close my eyes and see myself sitting there. And then I know I can focus myself on myself sitting there. I said, do you see yourself? Yes, I do. Then are you what you are seeing? Are you the one who is seeing? Are you the seer or are you the what is seen? You are always assuming what you are seeing is yourself. How can it be separate from you? The one that sees the image in meditation is not knowing who the seeing person is. But what you are seeing, you are thinking that is yourself. You are making up an artificial self. Not only that, the biggest blunder is because your eyes are closed, you think you are seeing that made up stuff inside. You are making it up outside these eyes even. And I give simple example when these yogis used to talk to me that we are looking at ourselves inside and we are sitting with the same vibhuti inside, we are having the same fire inside. So can you see all that? Yes, we can. Okay, now you see them and I'll give you an experiment. I gave them an experiment that without seeing that, can you touch your eyes? Physical eyes? Yes. With our hands, we can touch our eyes. Now close your eyes and see that and then bring your eyes close slowly to your eyes. And when they would raise their hand, they say, are you quite close to where you're seeing? Yes. Now, we just crossed them. They were seeing just outside. They're trying to see with the same eyes. They're trying to see with astral inner eyes. Let's try today meditation behind the eyes with love and devotion, where you visualize your beloved and you express your love to the beloved in the best way you can and see the results of it. Please assume that your body is your house and you are sitting on the 6th floor of that house behind the eyes. First, establish yourself in the meditation chamber behind the eyes, then visualize your beloved, then start any kind of meditation you want, including Simran, listening to the sound, or conversation with the Master.